Okay, I want you to picture a scene with me and really try to go there, because this scene is, it's almost aggressively normal. You're standing in your kitchen, it's morning, the light coming through the window, kitchen, the little dust motes in the air. There's a piece of toast on the counter, half eaten. The fridge is making that quiet hum, it always does. Everything looks exactly right. Safe, familiar.
Okay, I'm there.
But then, something inside you shifts.
Yeah.
It's not loud, it's just
Right.
you're reversible. You look at the toast or your coffee mug, or maybe the person sitting across from me, and you realize, I don't feel like I live here anymore.
Wow.
Or the person standing next to me feels like a total stranger.
Right.
And you blink, you try to shake it off, but the feeling, it doesn't go away.
That is a terrifying moment. Truly, it's the moment the ground just falls out from under you.
It is. It's when the script runs out. And that is exactly what we are exploring today. We are doing a deep dive into Gestalt therapy, but please don't tune out. This is not going to be some dry textbook psychology lecture.
No, not at all.
We're looking at this idea, really, of what happens when your own eyes start lying to you, or at least when it feels like they are. And honestly, looking into this, it felt less like therapy and more like, I don't know, a survival guide for a shipwreck.
It is about the wreckage,
Right.
yes, but it's about what we find in the wreckage. Because normally, when that feeling hits that kitchen moment where reality feels thin, we panic.
Right. We try to fix it.
We try to fix it, we try to scrub the lens to make the picture look right again. But the whole idea we're exploring today suggests something, well, radical. It suggests that the moment your reality cracks open is actually the first moment you are truly seeing.
Which is a huge claim. Because my instinct, and I think this is true for most of us, is that if my reality cracks, I'm cracking. I'm losing my grip. But the mission of this deep dive is to unpack this idea that what we call reality is often just a curated exhibit we've built for our own safety. And we need to figure out what happens when we stop trusting our eyes and maybe start trusting our awareness.
And that distinction is just so vital. Eyes versus awareness. One is about survival, the other is about truth. And this isn't abstract philosophy. This is about the raw edge of human experience. It's about what's happening in your body right now as you listen.
So let's get into that metaphor, the curated exhibit. That really stuck with me. This idea that we spend our lives building a world we can live inside of. A world that confirms who we think we are. I mean, how is that different from just having a life?
Well, think about a museum. A curator doesn't just throw everything on the wall, right? They choose. They decide what fits the theme, what tells the story they want to tell, and the rest. It stays in the cold, dark basement.
Okay.
We do the same thing with ourselves. We display the parts we can tolerate. I'm a good person. I'm successful. My partner is kind. We put those on the wall, frame them nicely, light them perfectly.
Right, we frame the good stuff. That sounds kind of healthy, doesn't it? Like positive thinking.
It's not about positive versus negative. It's about congruence. It's about what happens to the rest of it. The loneliness, the resentment, the suspicion that maybe your partner isn't always that kind.
So all that stuff goes into storage.
Into storage, we edit it out. Don't just pretend it isn't there. We literally stop seeing it. We distort the data coming in to keep the exhibit looking nice. Until, it collapses.
And a collapse.
Yeah.
It's not always a bomb going off. It's not some huge betrayal. It can be tiny. A text message with a weird tone. A certain look in someone's eyes.
It's the moment the background becomes the figure. That's a classic Gestalt concept, and it explains so much of our anxiety. Your perception is always organized into figure, what you're focused on, and background, which is everything else.
Okay.
Usually we focus on the figure we want to see, but when the exhibit collapses the background, all that stuff you put in storage, it just steps right into the light.
So if we use a relationship example.
Right.
For years, the figure has been, we're a happy couple. The background has been the silence at dinner, the separate beds, the lack of eye contact.
Exactly. And then one day, it flips. You don't see your partner as the loving presence you curated. You suddenly see someone who has been withdrawing for months. You see the distance you refuse to look at.
And because you spent so much energy not seeing it, when it finally breaks through, it feels...
violent.
Yeah, violent.
It feels like a violation of reality, but what it actually is an intrusion of truth.
And that's when the physical panic kicks in. That feeling of the ground trembling beneath you. I've felt that. It's not just in your head, it's a visceral body-level shaking. Your stomach drops.
That trembling is essential. And this brings us to a really important term here. It's the cornerstone of this whole approach, phenomenology.
Okay, pause there. Phenomenology is one of those $10 words that usually makes my eyes glaze over. Can we break that down? What does it actually mean here?
It's so much simpler than it sounds. Really, phenomenology just means returning to the experience before the story, before you explain it away, before you judge it as good or bad. It's just scientific observation of your own immediate reality.
So if I'm in that kitchen and I feel like my marriage is a lie, the story would be, oh my God, we need a divorce, or I'm going crazy, or it's probably just work stress.
Correct. Those are all interpretations. They're attempts to fix the discomfort. Phenomenology just asks, what is the sensation right now? Is your chest tight? Is your breath short? Are your shoulders hunching up?
Okay, just the raw data.
The raw data. Because those physical symptoms, the panic, the tightness, they aren't signs that you're failing. They're signals that something real is finally happening. You're making contact with the truth of the saturation, maybe for the first time in years.
That is so hard to do, though, to just sit in the suck, basically.
Yeah.
To let the confusion breathe without slapping a label on it. We're wired to fix things. If my chest hurts, I want it to stop.
We are addicted to certainty. We want the exhibit back up on the walls immediately. But here's the paradox at the heart of this whole thing, and it's a key insight. When you stop believing your eyes, meaning when you stop believing the curated story, you may finally begin to see.
Not with certainty, though.
Not with certainty, but with presence.
I want to pivot to the mechanics of this, because it's one thing to say we curate reality, but it's another to understand how we do it. Let's talk about the contact cycle. This felt like the engine room of the whole theory.
Yes, the contact cycle. In Gestalt, this is how we move through the world to get our needs met. It's like a wave. It starts with sensation, something stirs in you. Then awareness, you realize what it is. Then mobilization, you get energy to do something about it.
And then contact and withdrawal.
Exactly. Contact, you satisfy the need. And finally, withdrawal, you rest and digest.
Okay, give me a simple version, like a biological one.
Sure. Sensation. Your stomach rumbles. Awareness. I'm hungry. Mobilization. You get up and walk to the fridge. Contact. You eat an apple. You taste it. You chew it. Withdrawal. You feel satisfied, the hunger is gone, and you move on. The cycle is complete.
Simple enough. But we interrupt this cycle constantly when it comes to emotions, don't we? We break the wave.
All the time. We slam on the brakes.
I saw these examples that just hit a little too close to home. Like noticing a weird tone in someone's voice. That's the sensation, isn't it?
Right. Your stomach might tighten. The hairs on your arms stand up. Your body knows before your brain does.
But instead of moving to awareness, I feel unsafe, or that sounded angry, I just brush it aside. Or, and I do this one all the time, I start scrolling on my phone the second I feel a little bit of boredom or anxiety.
That is the interruption. That is the break in the cycle. You feel a sensation, a pang of loneliness, a gut feeling something's wrong. And instead of letting that become awareness, I am lonely, you mobilize into distraction. You scroll, you eat, you laugh when you want to cry.
These interruptions were called unread letters in your nervous system, that image.
Wow.
It suggests the energy doesn't just go away. I think I always assumed if I ignored it, it would just vanish.
It absolutely doesn't. I mean, physics tells us energy can't be destroyed. If you mobilize energy to cry, your chest heaves, your throat gets tight, then you swallow it. Where does that energy go?
Into your body.
It gets stuck in your muscles. That's why you might have chronic tension in your jaw or that permanent heaviness in your chest. It's the energy of 1,000 incomplete cycles. It's a traffic jam in your body.
It's a traffic jam. That's exactly it.
But, and this is so important, we have to look at this with compassion. These interruptions are what we can call brilliant adaptations.
Brilliant adaptations. That's such a different way of looking at emotional baggage. Usually we just think of it as our flaws.
Well, think about it. You didn't start interrupting your feelings because you're broken. You did it because at some point, maybe when you were very young, it wasn't safe to complete the cycle. Maybe you learned that if you showed anger, you'd lose love. Or if you noticed the tension in your house, you were told everything's fine. So you learned not to trust your gut. You learned to interrupt the cycle, to stay safe, to stay connected.
So these walls, they aren't flaws, they were necessary. They were survival gear.
They kept you alive, they were smart. But now, as an adult, those same strategies are keeping you from what's real. The wall that kept out the wind is now keeping out the light.
This leads us into one of the biggest aha moments for me.
Yeah.
Projection. Now, I always thought projection was simple. I'm angry, so I say you're angry. But the definition here was so much more poetic. It was called the quiet rearrangement of reality.
That's a beautiful, if haunting way to put it. The quiet rearrangement of reality. Projection is when we take an internal truth that's too heavy or scary to carry, and we place it outside of ourselves. We make it part of the world so we don't have to feel it in our own skin.
Walk me through a deeper example of that.
Okay, let's take neediness.
Yeah.
In our culture, being needy is seen as shameful, right? So let's say you have a deep, unmet need for connection. You're starving for it. But you judge that need as weak. You can't tolerate feeling it.
So you project it.
You project it. You start seeing your friends or your partner as demanding. I need you becomes you want too much from me. You perceive them as the ones pulling on you. You rearrange reality so you're the victim of their neediness instead of the owner of your own.
Wow. That's slippery.
Yeah.
It's a magic trick we play on ourselves. Like accusing someone of being cold because you're avoiding your own fear of being vulnerable.
Right. If I say you are cold, I'm the victim. I'm safe in my judgment. But if I withdraw that projection, if I take the film out of the projector, what am I left with? I'm left with, I am terrified to open up to you and I feel alone.
And when you withdraw that projection, you feel a weight.
The weight of owning your experience, yes. It's heavier than blaming. Blaming is light, it's fast, it has this high energy. Owning it, that lands in your gut. It's a lump in your throat. It's the realization, I'm doing this, I'm the one who's terrified.
And that leads to this idea of unfinished business, which sounds like a corporate term, but here it feels so emotional.
It's those unread letters again. Unfinished business is just the result of all those interrupted cycles, the conversation you never had, the grief you swallowed at the funeral to be the strong one. It just sits there. And when reality cracks, all that unfinished business comes rushing up.
And the instinct is to push it down or to process it intellectually, like, oh, I see I have abandonment issues, let me analyze that. But this approach is very firm. It doesn't want you to analyze it, it wants you to meet it.
Meet it in the here and now. That is the core of this whole thing. You can't fix the past, it's gone. But the imprint of the past is living in your body right now.
So what does that look like practically? If I have unfinished business with, say, a parent who's gone, what do I do?
Let's say you realize you spent a decade in a career you hated to get your father's approval. You can't get those 10 years back.
Yeah.
But you can sit with the feeling of that need right now. Where is it in your body? Is it a hollowness in your stomach? You acknowledge it. I needed approval, I didn't get it, and I am sad. You feel the sadness now.
That distinction is so helpful because I think a lot of us get stuck chasing closure. We want to tie a bow on it and be done. But there's a difference between closure and completion.
Yes. Closure is a fantasy. It's this idea of erasing the past or making it neat. Life isn't neat. Completion is about flow. It's about letting the energy that got stuck finally move through you. It's not an ending. It's a return to the stream of life.
To get to that completion, though, we have to talk about responsibility. And I have to be honest, that word, responsibility, it usually makes me flinch. It sounds like blame.
That's how we're taught to hear it, as a burden.
Yeah.
But just look at the word, responsibility, the ability to respond. It's not, it's all my fault. It is, how did I participate in the illusion?
How did I participate in the illusion? That is a powerful question. It takes the victimhood out of it.
It changes you from a victim of your circumstances to a co-creator of your reality. If I ask, how did I participate in this dynamic where I feel unseen? I might realize, oh, I never actually showed myself. I hid because I was scared. It doesn't mean the other person wasn't blind, but it means I have agency. I played a part.
And then comes the question that really just, it stopped me in my tracks, which is, what did I need so badly that I mistook illusion for truth?
That is the pivotal question. That's the one that hurts but also heals.
I mean, just let that sit for a second. What did I need so badly? Was it safety? Was it belonging? Control?
It's usually one of those deep primal needs. I needed to believe this job was my purpose because the alternative that I am lost was too terrifying. Or I needed to believe this relationship was secure because I can't handle being alone.
Right.
When we answer that question with real compassion, we stop hating ourselves for being fooled. We realize I wasn't stupid, I was hungry, I was starving for something, and I hallucinated a feast.
I was starving, and I hallucinated a feast. That makes the illusion make sense. It's almost a kindness to yourself to see it that way.
It is deeply kind. And that kindness allows for what we could call mature perception.
Moving from that child's view, where things are black and white, safe or dangerous, to an adult view.
Mature perception is the ability to hold multiple truths at the same time. A child needs their parent to be perfect. If the parent fails, the child's world collapses. An adult can see their parent as a flawed human who loved them and failed them.
Both can be true.
Both can be true. Mature perception means I can look at my life and say, this is beautiful and it is broken. I am wise and I made a mistake. You love me and you hurt me. It's spacious. It doesn't require everything to fit into a tiny box.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from that kitchen where everything felt wrong through the collapse of the exhibit, and now we're at this place of trusting our awareness over trusting our eyes.
Yes. Our eyes are interpretations. They're conditioned by our past. They scan for danger, they scan for confirmation of what we already believe, but awareness. Awareness just witnesses.
It's the part of you that notices your chest is tightening but doesn't freak out about it.
It's the part that notices you're trying to impress someone, the part that feels the grief hiding behind the anger. Awareness doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't try to fix you. It just says, I see you. This is what's happening. And that simple act of witnessing, it's curative. It restores contact with reality.
It's a shift from, I need to figure this out, to, I'm going to be here with this.
And that is the hardest thing to do, because we're culturally programmed to do, to fix, to improve. This approach just says, stop. The upgrade is the awareness. The fix is the contact. If you can stand in the wreckage of your old beliefs and just breathe without rushing to build a new exhibit, that is transformation.
It reminds me of this idea of the sacred space between stories.
We are in such a rush to leave that space. We leave one relationship and we immediately want the next story to begin. We leave a job, we need the next title. But the advice here is, stay in the not knowing.
Stay in the not knowing. That feels incredibly vulnerable, like standing naked in the wind.
It is. It's the most vulnerable place you can be, but it's also the only place where something genuinely new can emerge. If you rush to build a new story, you'll just use the same old bricks from the collapsed exhibit. You'll just recreate the same patterns. But if you stay in the not knowing, you allow yourself to become someone different.
So for you listening right now, maybe you're in that kitchen. Maybe you had that moment where the text came through, or you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize yourself, and maybe you feel like you're in a free fall.
If that's you, I just want to say, you are not lost. You are simply meeting the person you are becoming. The structure you built, that exhibit, it was too small for who you are now. It had to break.
That's a hopeful way to look at the wreckage. It didn't break because you failed. It broke because you grew.
Precisely. The cracks are how the light gets in. But that light isn't always comfortable. It illuminates the dust, it illuminates the mess, but it's real. And real is better than safe.
Real is better than safe. I think that's the bumper sticker for this entire deep dive.
I think so too.
You know, there's one last thought I want to leave everyone with. It's a question. And I think it's one you're supposed to carry around in your pocket for a while. You don't answer it today. You just let it nag at you a bit.
It's a haunting question.
The question is this. If I can't trust what I see, what else have I been missing?
It invites you to look again, not with your eyes, but with your whole being. What love have you missed because you were looking for rejection? What strength have you missed because you're looking for failure?
What else have I been missing? That's something to sit with in the silence.
Indeed.
Thank you for walking through this with me. It felt heavy, but very necessary.
It was a pleasure to explore the wreckage with you.
And to you listening, take a breath, look around your kitchen, and just notice. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.